welcome to another video. As you can tell by the thumbnail, this is my 2023 These Books Will Self-Destruct video. So this idea is 100% copied from Becca on the Books. I will tag her down below. This is something that I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years, and to be honest, I've been fairly shit at it because I've either not read the books, or by the time I've got to the end of the year, I've gone, oh, I still kind of want it actually. I'm going to just keep that book. So I don't do the self-destructing part. But the idea is, it's a list of 10 books that if I haven't read them by the end of the year, they go. They're unhauled. They've got 1 year left. Go. So I'm going to start this off with doing a little recap of my 2022 self-destruct books. So obviously I wasn't on YouTube at that point. So they are written down in an old diary. So I actually had 12 books on my self-destruct list, and I'll run through what they were, and I'm just going to run through what they were and whether I'd read them or not. So first of all, we had River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. This one came in a Fairy Loot box, I think in like 2019. I've had it for ages and I didn't read it, and I actually unhauled it already this year. City of Bones, the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I have read it. I have read this whole series. It is down there. So good, safe. The Mercies by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. I have read this. I thought it was okay. I think I gave it 3 stars, but I have unhauled it. The Disney Villains series. So I haven't read any of these and I have unhauled them. I was going to read them, but I just kind of looked and I was like, they're just not interesting to me. A Darker Shade of Magic, dangerous one. This one I have read. I have still got it. I am in 2 minds about whether or not I'm going to continue with the series. It's one where I feel like if I'd read it a few years ago, I'd have been obsessed and loved it. But reading it now, it was okay. So I might continue with the series, might not. I'm in 2 minds on that one. Disney Twisted Tales. Similarly to the Disney Villains, I did read one of these. I think I had about 5 or 6. I read one. I read Let It Go, and I liked it, but I didn't like it enough to read all of the rest of the Twisted Tales, and I've unhauled them all. My feeling with the Twisted Tales is I wanted an actual twist to them, and I felt like I got it sort of with Let It Go, where actually it was a different take on the story. There was actually a twist. Again, it wasn't as dark as I liked, but I think they're middle grade, maybe YA, but they're not supposed to be super dark. I've also read from that series Straight On to Morning, and that one I just was so disappointed by, because literally the twist in it was, instead of flying to Neverland with Peter Pan, she goes to Neverland with Captain Hook. Wendy goes to Neverland with Captain Hook, and that's it. There is no other twist to it. There's nothing else different. And I'm like, it's not like she joins forces with Captain Hook. Nothing else. She goes there with Hook and then is just like, bye, I'm off to find Peter and the Lost Boys. Really boring. Don't read it. Anyway, I've unhauled that series. We've then got The Court of the Air. This one had been on my TBR for forever. The synopsis sounds really interesting, but I've not really heard very much about it. And when I looked into the reviews, a lot of people were saying it's not that great. It's just very, very confusing. So it's gone. I've unhauled it. Rivers of London. This is a book that I see in every single charity shop. I had collected the first 4 of the series, but I just sort of thought, actually, I'm never going to read this series. I think it's about 8 books long at the moment. I'm not going to read it. They've gone. They've been unhauled. Doing quite good at this. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I have read the first one. I intend to carry on reading the series, so that one has been read and kept. Yay. The Girl on the Train. I have read it. It wasn't that good, but I have still got it. And then the last 2 are the only 2 left that I haven't read and are still in my possession, and these 2 hurt. 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I really want to read this book. Do you know, I've been saying this for so long. I really want to read this book. It's been on my TBR for about 3 years. I've never read it. It's been on the self-destruct list for a year and I've not read it. She gotta get gone. That one makes me sad. And this one hurts slightly more, and I know people are going to come at me for this. Queenie. This, again, has been on my TBR for so long. I keep on looking at it and think, oh, it sounds good, I'll read that. But it's been on my self-destruct list all year. I've not picked it up. I've not gravitated towards it. I've not even looked to think about putting it on a TBR. So I'm sorry, Queenie. I really am sorry, because I feel like this one might eventually sneak back onto the TBR. And I feel like this could be a rebuy in the future, but for now, she's gone. Makes me very sad. So, 2023. Now the sad bits are over. So my plan for my 2023 self-destruct list, what I did throughout 2022 is each month I'd make a TBR, and on that TBR there would be set books that were my priority TBR. And of those set books, anything that was on that priority list that I did not read got put into the bag of shame. And these were then at risk to being on this list now. There are a couple sort of criteria to this. So they have to be books that I purchased or hauled before 2021, so they had to have been on my TBR for over 12 months, and they had to have been on a priority TBR that I didn't read. And I quite like this idea, so I'm going to carry this on throughout 2023. So again, so each month I roughly read about 10 books a month, but while I like a TBR, I'm not great at sticking to it. So my plan is for next year to have 5 priority books that I want to read and that I have to read each month, and then 5 just mood reads. And of those 5 priorities, any of those that don't get read, they go into the bag of dread. So the following is my 10 books for my These Will Self-Destruct at the end of this year. Okay, book number 1. Now this one, I'm quite scared that it's on here because I'm scared it's going to go the way of Queenie. But it's Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. So this book has been on so many TBRs. It's been on 3 or 4 this year. I adored House in the Cerulean Sea, and to be honest, I'm just scared of reading this. I don't know why I'm not reading it. I say I'm scared of it, but I don't even know if I am. It's whenever it's on a TBR, I'm like, am I in the mood for that? I don't know. So this one, if I haven't read it by the end of this year, watch me now read this one straight away in January, because I'm nervous that I'm going to have to get rid of it. But I'm predicting 5 stars for this. So that one there is quite scary. Book number 2 is The Duchess by Wendy Holden. So I read The Governess by the same author and I liked it. However, I haven't really been reading much historical fiction this year. Historical fiction's never been like my favourite genre, but it's always been something that I enjoy, and it probably would normally be kind of about my 3rd genre and behind fantasy and contemporary. This year romance has topped that and kind of knocked historical fiction down to almost nothing. So yeah, I think I've read 3 historical fictions all year. So I'm interested in this. I'll be honest, I'm not going to shed any tears over it if this one does get unhauled. I want to read it, but it's not something that I'm gravitating towards at the moment. Escaping from Houdini by Kerry Manolesco. So this book I have actually started. I've read the first 3 or 4 chapters. I think there is still a bookmark in there. Yeah, I read the first 30 pages. So this one is on here because, right, this is the 3rd book in a series. I've read book 1 and 2. However, I clearly just had a moment and I put this one on my TBR in April for the Magical Readathon, and I believe I put it down for the prompt of fantasy. This is not a fantasy. So I don't really count this one as a DNF as such. I put it down because it didn't match. It wasn't the book that I wanted to read at that time because I was reading for the Magical Readathon and this didn't fit. which meant then I just haven't picked it up again since. It has been on a couple TBRs since then, and I've just not picked it up. I do want to get to it, because if I unhaul this one, then I've got the rest of the series, and I do want to finish the series. But again, like I was saying, historical fiction, historical crime, I'm just not gravitating towards it at the moment. So the pile here. Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. So this one, I believe, came in a fairy loot. Okay, I have opinions on A Curse So Dark and Lonely, that trilogy. I've read all 3 books. None of them got more than a 3-star. And I'm therefore a bit worried about Defy the Night. I don't have high hopes for it. Be totally honest, I don't think I'm going to enjoy it. So yeah, I want to give it a go, because the synopsis sounds a lot more interesting than the synopsis for A Curse So Dark and Lonely does. But part of my issue with Curse was that I didn't love the writing. So this is a little bit of a last chance saloon for Bridget Kemmerer. Then got Pages & Co. 3. What one is this one? Tilly and the Map of Stories. Again, this has been on half a dozen TBRs and I've just not read it. It's a 3rd book in a trilogy. I'm unlikely to continue the series after this book. I think Anna James is currently working on book 6, which is the end of a 2nd trilogy in the same world. I like the Pages & Co. books, but I don't love the Pages & Co. books. So yeah, I want to read this one, call it done, and most likely unhaul the trilogy. The Familiars by Stacey Halls. This one has got the most beautiful cover. So I read The Foundling by Stacey Halls and adored it. And this, again, sounds really, really good, but I'm just not reading very much historical fiction. It's so pretty though. Yeah, I do really want to read this one, but again, I just basically need to get myself back into a bit more of a historical fiction mood to want to pick it up. Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I've been hearing quite a few mixed things about Ruth Ware. So I've read One by One, which I think I gave like 4 stars to. I liked it. And so I actually own quite a few Ruth Wares, and I want to read this one. I have read Henry James' version, Turn of the Screw, and again, this was a very long time ago, but I remember thinking it was pretty good. So I do want to read, but will I get to it? This one is likely it will be read. I do tend to read quite a few thrillers. Northchild by, who's this by? Edith Pitot. To be honest, I have bought this one for no other reason than I think Jade from JD Ray Reads recommended it for Polathon, and I thought, yeah, let's read that. It's a middle grade. I like middle grade, and it sounds really, really cute, so I want to get to it. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. So this one, I own Dark Matter and I own Recursion, and I basically own them both because G from Books Roast loves them. I've never read anything by Blake Crouch. I do like sci-fi. I don't read a ton of sci-fi. So this one sounds really interesting. I do want to read it. Again, I'm just very easily influenced by whatever anybody else likes. And yeah, I want to give this one a go. And finally on the list, by Natasha Bowen. So I actually met Natasha Bowen at Cheltenham Literature Festival last year. So this book is signed and personalised, and it sounds amazing. It's about mermaids and a take on the slave trade as well. And it just sounds really good. I know the sequel is out now as well. So yeah, I just really want to read it. It sounds fantastic, and I've just not got to it. So we'll see. Okay, these are the 10 books that will self-destruct this year. if I don't read them by the end of 2023, they will be unhauled. I am nervous about this. If you've read any of these, let me know which ones I should prioritise. Let me know if there's any that you think I will really like or think that I should just call it quits and get rid of anyway. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!